everybody! So today we're going to talk about Walt Disney's fourth animated classic, and that is his film Dumbo. And I'm really excited to talk to you about this film because I really do love it. And Dumbo was released in 1941, and it is a really interesting film. If you look at Pinocchio, if you look at Fantasia, if you look at Bambi, all of those are very lush, they're very rich, they're very detailed films. And Dumbo was a lot simpler, and it was simpler by design. Because of the war, things were getting very, very, very expensive, and it made so Fantasia and Pinocchio were both not profitable for Disney at the time. They've now become profitable because of re-releases and things like that. But at the time they were not profitable, and so they needed something that would get them some income quickly and that they could produce more quickly than Bambi. And so they had this idea floating around that was based on this Rolla book, which was kind of like, I think, like a panorama, kind of like a viewfinder screen thing, that was about this elephant at the circus that had big ears that could fly. And Joe Grant, one of the 9 old men, took this idea and wrote up, basically storyboarded it. And Walt really liked it. It was made very quickly for a very low budget, and a lot of watercolors and simple, bright backgrounds. And that was different than the lush, deep backgrounds that had been used in the other films. And it, I think, is a delight. I love it. It's a very simple movie. It's one of Walt Disney's shortest films. I think it's 65 minutes, and it tells the story of Dumbo. Dumbo is delivered by the stork, and hooray for Mr. Stork is the opening number. And you see all of the elephants see Dumbo, and Mrs. Jumbo gets her baby pouch. It's opened up, and what does it have? Giant ears. And the elephants are very catty. They're not very nice. And one of the lead elephants is voiced by Verna Felton, who would go on to become one of the greatest voice talents in all of Disney, including voicing the fairy godmother in Cinderella. But they're very, very mean to him, and they call him Dumbo, and as a name for derision. But of course, Mrs. Jumbo backs up and defends her son. Even the circus men are very mean to Dumbo as well. They're making fun of him, and so Mrs. Jumbo fights and attacks them and defends her son, and she gets put into basically like elephant prison. And there's, of course, the very, very sad song where Mrs. Jumbo sings to Dumbo, Baby Mine, and it is just so beautiful and wonderful and a lovely little lullaby, but it's also very, very sad. And then we get Timothy Q. Mouse, who's one of my favorite sidekicks in all of Disney. I love him so much. Supposedly, elephants are afraid of mice. And they even did a Mythbusters, if you haven't checked it out, it's hilarious, where they tested out whether elephants are really afraid of mice. But anyway, so that's the myth, that's the story. And so they shouldn't be friends. They're these contrasting characters. They shouldn't like each other, but Timothy Q. Mouse feels bad for the way that Dumbo is being treated. He stands up for Dumbo, and he says, "What's the matter with you?" They become friends, Timothy Q. Mouse and Dumbo, and they even have a strange, strange night of drinking champagne. They don't realize it's champagne, they think it's water, and they get a little tipsy and have a dream called The Pink Elephants on Parade, which is insane and has nothing to do with the plot of the movie, but I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. It's so creative, it's so crazy. It's like, even though they were trying to do this low budget, less artistic project compared to Fantasia or Pinocchio, it's like they couldn't hold it in. They had to do this insane, crazy Pink Elephants on Parade number, and I just think it's so funny and wonderful and bright and colorful, and the way that the elephants sort of move in and out and merge and flow, it's just very dolly, it's very surreal, it's very out there, and I just love it. So then the next morning, after they've been drunk, they all of a sudden wake up in a tree, and they're like, how did we get this high on the tree? And that's where they meet the crows. And that's the most controversial element of this film. A lot of people feel like the crows are racist, And I obviously am a, you know, a white woman, so I can't speak for the feelings of the African American community. And I can, you know, I don't know. To me, I feel like it is a caricature, and it is a little bit like they say things like brother and hey man and what you doing? You know, it's definitely like a caricature, and see why it might bother people, but I feel like it's so cheerful. And I feel like you have to put it in context with the whole film as a whole. The whole message of Dumbo is about tolerance and acceptance, and that these, like, that's the whole message that Timothy Q. Mouse is telling the elephants and the other people. Like, why can't you accept Dumbo because of his ears? You know, like, why can't you accept somebody who looks different than you? And so I just feel like it's a shame to throw this whole movie out because of one scene that has caricatures that aren't the greatest. But I don't know. I just feel like compared to, say, the Siamese cats in Lady and the Tramp, or to the Red Man song in Peter Pan, it's way, way less offensive, I feel like. But if it offends you, I totally respect that and understand that. But I just would hope that you could appreciate some of the other things about the movie and not have it spoil the whole movie for you. But there you go. That's sort of my view on it. But he meets the crows, and they sing that if I see an elephant fly, and it turns out that Dumbo can actually fly. And, you know, we see him flying back, and it turns out his ears make him special. And they allow him to do something that the other elephants can't do. And so that's basically the movie, is that it's a very simple story. It's very beautifully animated. It's got great songs by Frank Churchill and Oliver Wallace, and it did well for them at the time. Like I said, it was a smaller budget, but it was one that they were able to make a profit on, which was definitely very needed, especially during those war years. And it's just become kind of iconic in the world of Disney. So let me know what you think about Dumbo. Put in the comments. Thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you later. Bye.